Hi everyone. So for the last session for the day, which is hosted by Guru Guram chapter, which is on designing an agile team is like raising an independent child, both calls for the work. We have Shalu as the moderator of the event, and we have other panelists, Sujata, Deepa, and Atul. And before starting the session, I would like to thank our founding sponsor, Innovation Roots, which is a leading consulting and training service provider, helping organizations to achieve business agility and beyond. It is one of the leaders and pioneers of niche publishing services and is well known for content collaboration with global thought leaders, authors, and creators. We are also very thankful to Gile, which is a product offering from Tata Consultancy Services Limited. It is a purely cloud-based enterprise agile planning tool along with DevOps capabilities. Enterprises can use Gile to adopt agile practices or scale across multiple Scrum and Kanban teams using enterprise scaling frameworks such as SAFe, Disciplined Agile, Less and More. You can try out Gile for free for up to 20 users for 1 year by signing up at gile.io. Or you can also reach out to us for any inquiry or exclusive product demo. And I again highly request everybody to check out the Gile page on Agile Network India website for more information. Over to you, Shalu.
Sure. So I will go ahead. I'm Shalu. I am engineer and manager by training and leader by passion and parent by divine bliss. So I carry 20 years of experience in industry, and I am very I say it with a lot of gratitude that I got a opportunity. I got different opportunities to work in product-based, service-based, and consulting organization. So currently working as director with leading financial organization, American Express. So for most part of my career, I really was a little, uncomfortable in introducing myself as people leader, which I feel now is a great bliss to be, because I enjoy and celebrate everyone's achievement. And I have got an opportunity to design a lot of high performing teams where each team member love each other and their work. So I'm certified coach and conscious parent. So with this, I would request Shreya to move on to next speaker.
So, hello everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, Sujata, you are.
Okay, right. So I'm Sujata, and currently I'm working as assistant professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering at the North Cap University. I have experience of 13 years, including industry and academia. And if I talk about my research areas, then my area of specializations are software engineering and machine learning. And a part of teaching, I'm also serving as a reviewer, editor, and advisory members for the various national, international conferences and the journals. So this is all about me.
Hi all, myself Atul Kumar Gupta. I'm having more than 20 years of experience in the IT industry, and I'm working with a very big name in the NCR region. I've been handling projects right from product development to the architectures, and have seen multiple life cycles and project methodologies to be used across the industry depending on the needs. And I'm here to comment on the topic. And if you have any questions, do let me know.
Hi everyone, I'm Deepa Nambiar. I'm an agile enthusiast and helping teams to being agile. I have total 15 plus years of industry's experience. I'm helping lots of teams. I help lots of teams in different domains in converting in agile. And right now also I'm helping the teams. So I'm working as an agile coach. Yeah, let's move on to the discussion.
Perfect. So thank you, Sujata, Deepa, and Atul for joining us today on Agile Gurugram chapter. So first of all, very warm welcome to all the audience. And we have Agile coach joining us, and we have professor who is shaping education for our future leaders. And we also have Atul, who is leader, who has a kind of, who carry varied experience leading different generations at workforce. So no topic could have been better than that, how defining an agile team and raising an independent child, because I am a very conscious and passionate parent. So this topic is really giving us a lot of parallels today to discuss about and bring great experience for audience that you all have. So with this, if you all are ready, I would like to take you through the journey of, raising yourself and children, and how the parallels are getting on your work and professional life. So hope we are good. Great. So with that, I would like to, first of all, ask you, Deepa, that how your experience has been on inculcating agile values in the team, because you have been coaching different agile teams and you have experienced, agile from all different lenses like tools, processes, values, mindset. So why don't you bring, your experience on how you have inculcated agile values in the team?
Yeah, Shalu, thanks. And I think this is the very basic thing, while transforming the teams. So as we said, we relate family values with successful kids, successful people. Similar way, those values are related with successful teams as well. And that's the difference between doing agile and being agile. So for me, as a coach, I always try to inculcate these values in team, and irrespective of Scrum, I think those values of commitment, focus, respect, openness, courage, it can be utilized in any kind of methodology. It's not even restricted to only to the Scrum teams. So yeah, I mean, I think, and the another thing, to creating, values in the teams, which is very basic, we have to create psychological safety as well, an environment of psychological safety when we can provide team culture of openness, transparency, so that they have the courage to say what is right, what is wrong. They have courage to say no. They have courage to even, celebrate their failures as well. So this is very basic and very important thing. Another thing is respect, which is everybody wants respect. So respect across the hierarchy or across the team is very important. Focus is another factor wherein we always need to be focused. So these kind of values we always talk about, and it is really important for new teams or for existing teams to inculcate those values. And once they have those values, any team, then success, it comes by itself. So I think value is very important. Atul, what do you think?
Yeah, thanks, Deepa. I think very well said that values are important, and I would like to actually relate it. What brings in transformation, right? If you see when a child is very young, 2 years old or 3 years old, we as parents do take care of the child very well. We hold him or her very closely. We do not drop him whenever we try to put him into our laps. But the moment the child grows from 4 to 6 years, if you see, you start leaving the child on its own and learn things, on a day-to-day basis, how to cope up with difficulties, and constantly guide the child, in a way where there's a bottleneck coming up. And this is exactly the similar way we actually coach our teams in a similar manner, that we tend to guide them whenever they require it, right? It is not a 2 year child. It is basically a 5 to 6 year child, where he or she can do things on its own, but needs some guidance. That's it. So I think that way we coach our teams so that they can take their decisions. They make amends of the problems that they face, and the and whatever problems they create during the process as well. So they learn on their own, they rectify it and move on. So that is what the culture we need to develop whenever we are having agile teams.
And I think once we inculcate those values in individuals, in teams, that will remain with them in future, wherever they go, wherever they work. Those values are so important and so basic to inculcate, I think, Shalu. So that's what I think. This is my first thing always when I try to transform, try to inculcate those values somehow in the team. It would take time, but it really helps. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. You have really covered a very vast and significant ground on that how different uh, growth phases call for different values demonstration by the leader, by the someone who team is or child is looking up to. So it could be that when team is early in the phase, the values are more to repeated, and so agile tools come into such a great use when we emphasize on the values, and as we graduate to the level of understanding, then overall mindset becomes so important. And with this, I would like to go to you, Sujata, come to you, Sujata, and I would love to hear your experience on when you are shaping careers of our future leaders who are young adults who have some level of value systems already in place, and how you bring them together and introduce this in the teaching and learning process.
Yes, Shalu, this is very good question asked by you, that agile mindset, how we can include it in the teaching learning process, so that we can like encourage and we can introduce some more interactive and more engaged teaching model, right? So basically, if I talk about agile is all about, you can say, teamwork and collaborations. Agile is all about values and principles. Agile is all about the best use of the best practices, right? So while raising an independent child, we used to use some best practices, and that the same way we used to use these best practices while we are introducing this agile approach in our teaching learning process. So basically, we train our students so that they can take the ownership. We train our students so that they can be self motivated, self managed, self organized, right? They appreciate the team efforts, they appreciate the values of their teammates also, right? So this is the agile. Further, if I talk about agile, then agile is, you can say, innovation, right? Agile is the how you are dealing with the uncertainties, right? With the self-motivated and self-managed team, so that you can get the result in a frequent manner. So like the same way, actually we are introducing such grading system in our curriculum, in our teaching learning process, so that students get their feedback early in the process. Like feedback loops should be shortened so that they can improve them, students can improve themselves, right? So rather than we are evaluating the students by the end of the semester or by the end of, you can say, 3 months or 4 months, we should provide them feedback regarding their performance, regarding their efforts, weekly, or you can say after every 15 days. So like that way we can reduce the various feedback loops. So because in agile we talk about sprints, so that is the time boxed effort, so that we are trying to implement in the education sector. So so that students should be able to appreciate their efforts also, and we are also should be encourage their efforts. So grading system should be like that way, that we are not only measuring their, we are not only evaluating their performance, we should grade them for the various activities also. For example, if you are introducing some peer tutor approach in the teaching learning process, so how they are actually providing the feedback to their peers. So this should be the one of the parameter for their for the grading system. So like that way, not only the performance, their effort should also be encouraged, so that as Deepa said, so that they can celebrate their failures also, and they don't lock themselves in a fear of something. So they should come out with this self motivation. So one of my senior in my organization has proposed equation of excellence in his research, that E is equal to MC square, where E is excellence, M is the self-motivation, and C is the commitment. So
Wow.
we are trying to train our student in that manner. So let's hope for the best.
Wow. That's interesting. So Deepa, Atul, would you like to add on something? And sorry, I'm adjusting a little camera. It's crazy. I did not
Yeah,
test
so
it earlier.
Sujata, that's wonderful to know that even we are in our education system, we are now teaching the agile values, the Scrum values to the
Yes,
team,
actually.
and these are the
Yes.
values which are really required. And I think it will help. You are actually creating future generation for organizations. So that's really beautiful, and the things you are doing with kids, I mean the students, that's really helpful, I think.
So
It will
agile
help us
is,
in future in being agile, rather than doing agile. So I think it will
yeah, agile
definitely
is
help.
now everywhere. Agile is, we are using agile everywhere in education sector. You talk about any sector, everywhere we are using agile.
Wow, that's wonderful. Atul, if you are saying something, you are on mute. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Sujata, for bringing this up. I think, keeping in mind that change is the only constant thing in the world. If you're trying to inculcate these, values, agile values, how to, adopt the changes and adapt accordingly, I think this is really one good thing, that is that when they'll come to the industry, they will not have the fear of changes, because the changes are inevitable and they'll continue to be there, especially into the technical education and technical sector as well, right? So we have to adapt to these changes and we have to cope up with them. And if we have those values right from our education system, nothing like it. So I think all onus back onto you when you're preparing the child for the industry.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting. And I am firm believer of that every child is born no limit. So they don't have any fear, because when we as parents were fearful when they were, falling on every step forward, but they were never ever fearful of, taking a next step again and then chasing the same toy again. And every moment they failed, next moment they were totally fine with this. So now, knowing that education has joined forces with parents in protecting their no limitness by giving them that conducive learning environment, that's really encouraging, and kudos Sujata for that. So with this, I would like to come to you, Atul, that how your experience has been, knowing that as a leader, we totally see and envision that there is a big picture. We have to get results done in the time boxed manner, as Sujata was mentioning. And as Deepa and Sujata both brought it beautifully, that how importance to effort and processes is equally important and equally valuable. So how your experience, Atul, has been in designing those sprints and setting up smaller goals while not losing the view of big picture?
Yeah, thanks, Sharu. I think this is one of the areas where most of the organizations and projects, they face challenges when they are designing their sprints. What should be included, what should not be included, and there is a protocol to do that. We call it Moscow principle, where M stands for must haves, has to be taken first, ought to haves, could haves, right? Then you can have a wish list, which can be given as requirements. Now, what happens is, since the agile teams are made up of varied experience, you could have functional people, you can have technical people, and you also have an objective, an organizational objective or a business objective to be met. So you have to bring everybody onto the same page, keeping the business objective into the mind, that if you are going for a product that needs to go to the market in the next 2 months, you got to decide on, while you might be having the best of the technical team in a particular area, which can develop the best of the softwares which is today available in the market, but you might have to take a decision to buy it from some third party and then institutionalize it over a period of time. So the way you have to design your sprint is based on the go-to-market situation and what you should be, picking it from the courts like off the shelf, which one you should be building in-house, and then bringing everybody's experience onto the table and ensuring how do you design your sprints, what we are buying from outside, what we are taking off the shelf straight away, and what we are developing in-house, so that you have those bigger tasks cut into the shorter tasks in such a way that the go-to-market situation is met and you meet the overall objective. And I think when you explain it this way, most of the people, with the varied experience, they do understand that, and they try to, have those sprints designed in such a way to keep the larger, picture in mind. I think that really helps.
That's great. That's great. So, Atul, I really loved the way you brought the value of must-haves and non-negotiables. So, we in our family, and especially in these, pandemic times, lots of our non-negotiables got shaken, and the non-negotiable, which were as simple as that, taking a bath in the morning before our child sits for an online class, so which was non-negotiable when they were attending the school, and now it has become a kind of process, discipline, and you can live with their approach, and you are in fact as a parent open to their approach whenever they want to do whatever they want to, but still there are non-negotiable like healthy eating, taking good care of yourself, being respectful, kind, and everyone has different value system. So it's interesting that you brought it, that how in agile world this Moscow's must have, optionals, and wish list come into play. So I'm sure that the way this generation is getting raised, they are already getting to that agile way of working, cooperating, defining what works for them and all. So with this, I will come to you, Deepa, that you are working with different generations, different organizations, and every organization has a culture, and you can really smell that culture the moment you get into the team. So how do you handle difficult situations with agile teams?
So yeah, you said it right. Like, I mean, organizational culture is different than team culture. So there is organizational culture. Obviously, team culture is influenced by organizational culture, but then there is team culture. And being a coach, this is one tool I think everyone should have, coach or a leader or a scrum master, that they can smell the conflict. It's not every time that you can see the conflict, but you should very proactive to smell the conflict and then resolve it. And then you have to wear different hats to resolve those conflicts. You have to see now in which situation which hat you have to wear. You have to wear counselor hat, or a friend hat, or a mentor hat, or a coach hat. So this is, and but somehow I really like the teams which have conflicts rather than a team where there is no conflict, because conflict is, I think, I mean, I can see it, at least a value of courage is there. That's why they have the conflict, even to say, okay, this is not right, maybe. But then being a coach, being a scrum master, we have to make that, change that into healthy conflict rather than unhealthy conflict. So we have to guide, and it happens, it happens everywhere, in our family, with our kids. Conflicts are very normal. So we have to lead it into a healthier way. So this is one, and it happens, challenging situations. Sometimes conflicts happen with, so I can quote an example over here. So with one of my very good teams, there was a conflict with management. The management, and it happened every time, they promised some MVP product to be, released soon. Now there was a big conflict with the team and the management, that how we can do it is too much and all. Then we sit down with the team and ask them what they can provide. We specially booked a training room, full training room for a team for 2 months. We said it's a war zone. So the team was itself also, there was quite a conflict in team because there are lots of junior and senior mix and match people over there. But then when we sat there for 2 months, two long months, they actually delivered double velocity. When they came outside that training room, they understanding them more, and they didn't even want to come out from those rooms. When I attended their daily scrum, I had those kind of smells, so also they started liking even each other's smell. So again, there is a way to handle those conflicts. Another example I can quote. So in my previous project, there was a big conflict between management and team because the management was changing the structure quite often. But being an outside contractor agile coach, my influence was not there. I mean, they were not accepting it. Then we tried to arrange an open house, open cafe firm, wherein people really got that platform to speak out. And then management did like it a lot because it was we arranged it in a way wherein they need to listen, and then they actually got to know how much problem the team on the team level people are facing when they took those kind of decisions, changing the structure of organization. So I would say there is different way to handle conflict. Sometimes you directly handle it. Sometimes you indirectly intervene, or there is a way to intervene so that they can listen. So yeah, but I like conflicts. Yeah, Atul, if you want to add.
Yeah, thanks, Deepa. Very well said. I think I would like to just add, when you said that, we do need to handle conflicts, I think the best way, and which I have experienced over these many years, when you talk about multiple cultures, it becomes even more difficult when these multiple cultures, across geographies. You can have French people, you can have English people, you can have, people from different geographies carrying different backgrounds and have a very, very different thoughts. They can be kind of, have worked in hierarchical nature of industries, hierarchical organizations for years and years, right? For their mindset to work in a horizontal teams where more or less you work in agile manner, sometimes becomes difficult. But I think what is more important is if you have brainstorming sessions with them over the table, as you mentioned, you have created war rooms where people have interacted in that war room, and they try to work like colleagues rather than having a hierarchical relation. I think what we need to inculcate and what actually helped us is giving them the message to have a flatter organization structure within that agile team. It is not like somebody is the boss or somebody is junior or a senior, so that you can brainstorm different ideas, and if any idea which can actually meet the objective can be taken forward, and you can have a better velocity that way. And I think the brainstorming sessions and these war room sessions really helps. And the mindset that there's no junior and senior, if you set up the context that it's a flatter team structure, that really helps a lot.
Great. And I personally have worked in consulting organization where, drawing an org chart was like, drawing the circles. So you have so many different circles with different colors, with different sizes, and everybody's name written in the circle, but there is no adjoining lines to those circles. So it was interesting to see those kind of org charts and organization. So Sujata, how you experience this conflict management while working with such a young blood who today have more to say and less to absorb? And that could be my personal perception, raising a teenager, and which could be a mom tantrum or a teenager tantrum to mom. But I would love to hear your experience, because you have been working with so many children.
Yes, very true, Shalu. Even I am also going through the same phase because my son is also 15 years old. So that's why the same thing I have to face. But yes, with the students, if I talk about, then really sometimes it become difficult, and sometimes it become like how you can solve, how you can resolve their problem in such a manner that they should work in a problem solving approach. They should work in a like efficient way and productive way. How you are able to see, like you must have heard about the phrase that like students usually get irresponsible only when teacher fails to provide them opportunities to take on the responsibilities. So whenever we are training them in such a manner that they are like self-motivated and they are taking the responsibilities by their own, commitment, if they are committed to something, and to resolve these conflicts we used to arrange various, as Atul said, brainstorming session. These are the very helpful for us. Being a teacher, I have really, like I have used in various scenarios and various circumstances in a class role playing activities. It also sometimes helps. So these type of various tools and various activities we used to do with the students. And of course, this again, a team hierarchy structure should not be used. So we should use, we are just like their friends. So like as a teenager, like with our kids also, we are using this approach that we are your friends. So like the same way for the students also. So like that way, we used to do in the education sector.
Wow, wonderful. And I was, very curious to also understand another aspect, that how adaptation is achieved among various teams with diverse backgrounds. And you three have already beautifully touched on those aspects, like Atul brought in the perspective of not only keeping a view on the different generation team, but also different geographies team. Deepa brought in really a great perspective on that, how conflict is necessary. Whatever generation, whatever geography you are working with, conflict is necessary, but obviously healthy conflict, so that you are engaging in a war room discussions, and those war rooms are eventually turning out to be a kind of stronger bonds to work in the future together. And Sujata, you touched so beautifully on the role plays and how giving a chance to each one of the team without boosting or bringing a hierarchy of whether it is a teacher, coach, leader, everyone has a role to perform. So you already touched it beautifully. So just in the interest of time and also giving our audience an opportunity to ask question, I would like all three of you, if you have to, close the session with one nugget wisdom experience that you could share with audience in one sentence each. So that would be great. And then we can get to the questions. Deepa?
So I think for me, inculcating the values, not in the team, but in the leadership team as well, is the basic step to moving toward being agile. Yeah.
Great. Atul?
So I would say that since the teams do include varied experience, I think we need to inculcate the bold behavior in the junior people, especially to come out and say about new ideas, so that that can be understood with experience, and they do not have a fear of keeping their minds and thoughts within themselves. So that is what we have to make sure that as agile coach we enable that.
Great.
Yeah, same. According to me, engagement should be more. Communication should be more. We should bridge the communication gap. So how we can like interact in more, how we can engage in a more and better way. So I think we should focus on that.
Great, that's wonderful. And I have a lot of takeaway from this session. Although, everything on the leadership, agility, and raising children fascinates me a lot. So for me, the key experiences that I would like to, just uh, bring to the conclusion for our audience would like to bring is that bringing and creating an agile team calls for self-organization, having the right values defined, also define winning in a way that where everyone understands the consequences of failure, but still stay fearful and fearless, fearful of losing the values, but fearless of achieving and jumping out of circle to achieve the results. So that is exactly the parallel that we see in when we are raising our children, that how we inculcate the values in them, how we nurture their uniqueness which they come in this world with as a parent, and then make them even give even further conducive room. Because when if I take an example, if I borrow an example from nature, in case a tree is not growing, we don't fix the tree, we fix the environment. So with this, I would like to open it for Q&A. And Shreya, I'm not able to see Q&A. If you can please read out for us. All right, I could see it. So there is a wonderful question. Yeah, Shreya, you were saying something?
Yeah, so you're able to read the Q&A?
Yeah, I'm able to read the Q&A now.
All
So
right.
we have a wonderful question from Amar, who is asking, how can we make professionals and team independent to reduce micromanagement overheads? And such a wonderful question. So who would like to take it up first? So let me read it again. How can we make professionals and team independent to reduce micromanagement overheads?
Yeah, I think I can take it up. This is a very good question, that how we make our teams independent where there is no micromanagement required. Well, in during the sprints, you do scrum meetings every day for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, where everybody open to ideas and discuss about things or difficulties they face. So once you actually define your sprint, you define your use cases, user stories, and it has been given to the people who actually develop, they should be given a complete independent authority to develop that. And then your scrum meetings, they should come up and say about any challenges or difficulties that they're facing, right? While micromanagement definitely is not a good idea, because you cannot look after every 2 hours what has been done, but scrum meetings every day, it's a place where you can also come up if you're facing any challenges. You're open about it, right? Other than that, what you are developing, how do we control it, right? How do we control it as a project manager? How do we control it as an agile coach? How do we also know whether you really need help or not, right? So that is why you do continuous testing while you're building, while you're developing and delivering a product, and we do a continuous testing. And continuous testing can be the possibility, not the manual testing these days. The tools available, you can use Selenium and all. Wherever, as an agile coach, you think that something is not going wrong, then you can have a word with the person. But micromanagement, it working out with every 2 or 3 never works, because it's a technical field. Let the person be alone, think about it. He understands the user story, and then he has to deliver it. If he or she is facing any challenges, that should be brought up in the Scrum meeting. So you have to give them the confidence to speak up in the Scrum meetings and listen to him. That is where I think you can bridge these gaps, and you won't even require a micromanagement that way.
Great.
So this is what
Thanks, Atul. Thanks, Atul. And
I would like to add, Shalu, here. So Atul said it rightly. So while we are not doing micromanagement, we never support it, but there is always also very important to set the boundaries with the autonomy. So the autonomy we give to the team to self-organize and self-manage, but also it should be very, very important to talk about the boundaries also, right? And for the leaders, like being a coach, it's really problem with leaders or middle management, I would say, and that could be my perspective. It could be different, for you people. But then one question I always ask from them, the management people, that what do you actually need? Do you need work to be done, or do you want to see who did what? It's a team effort. In Agile, we say it's team, whether Kanban or Scrum. So if the team is already committed, if they have committed the sprint goal, if they are committed to the backlog, so definitely they'll derive, that work out of that goal. So there is no need for micromanagement. And that's why I'm really a big fan of estimation, wherein we estimate small stories, not in hours, never, but in different kind of Fibonacci series, story points, t-shirt sizing, or other stuff, wherein we give a leverage to the team even to, estimate it, but not accurately tell the time, so that micromanagement would not be there. Another aspect is transparency. So Agile always talks about transparency. So when you are transparent, when you are creating the story, small task, and when you are, daily in the Scrum, as Atul said, change your what you are doing, change the status in Jira or any tool. It is all transparent. So why there is a need for micromanagement? Anybody can see who is working on what, where is the bottleneck. And then we have retro ceremonies. And I'm again a big fan of retro, wherein team is courageous. It's okay. There are people in team which are not that productive, or maybe because of any personal reason also. But that's the form wherein team actually can talk to the within themselves, like why this is not happening, what was the bottleneck. So I think micromanagement nowadays, it's going apart. I don't think so. It is now working with new generation. They even don't like it. They do not innovate when you micromanage them. When you say, okay, do this every time. No, not at all. I also always suggest that there should be an innovation sprint after 4-5 sprint when you release something, so that people actually can sit and brainstorm on something innovative. So micromanagement, I think now it's not way of working. It's very traditional way, and it's going away. Maybe gradually after 10 years, it would not be there at all. Yeah, I think that answers the question.
Yeah, sure. And I totally resonate with this. Like, when we are raising independent child, I usually use this metaphor that raising a child is really raising ourselves, because we have to free ourselves from the traditional and conventional ways that has worked with us, because the overall, culture, environment, everything has shifted so exponentially with the advancement of technology, with the advancement of other social aspects. So, and also on the leader side, leadership is pretty much again a journey of being human. So micromanagement would not be the real tool for coming years, for sure. And we have 2 more questions. So before getting to that, I wanted to check with Shreya how we are doing on time. We are at 4:45. Is everyone okay to stay for another 5-7 minutes so that we can take these 2 questions, or you would want us to respond in some other ways?
We can take the questions till 4:50, and then for any more questions, probably they can ask you on LinkedIn, if that's okay with all of you.
Yeah, that works. That works. So I will take, there are 2 questions, and I will speak both of them, and we can, just briefly answer it. For further details, the requester can really ask over LinkedIn. So one is that what are the different ways of assembling and defining team when new project needs to be taken up? And if I am getting it right, this question is asking for that what are the key considerations to make basis new project requirements, that what kind of skills, what kind of people, what kind of mindsets you need in the team. That is question 1. And second question that I have from Prashant is front bencher students in a classroom or in a picnic bus. How do they perform in corporate world or entrepreneurship as compared to last benchers in the classroom or picnic bus? So that's an interesting question altogether. So how the different behaviors come into execution and bringing results when it comes to corporate and entrepreneurships. How do these behaviors differ from front benchers to the backbenchers? So these two
So,
questions, and if we can touch on this, yeah.
yeah, so Shalu, I think I would take up the second question first. That's an interesting one. I can relate a few stories there. So let me take that up. So if you ask me, yes, there are front benchers and there are back benchers when you are studying in colleges or schools, right? And there's a different psychology and the background in the minds of front benchers and the back benchers. What I would say, when you come to the industry, there are no front benchers and back benchers. What you come up with is some kind of a psychological mindset if you're a front bencher and if you're a back bencher. What happens is every one of them, either the front bencher or the back bencher, has some positives and some negatives. If we talk about the back benchers, the good thing about them is they're bold, right? They they possess the quality of challenging a good or a bad thing, right? Which is a very good thing for the corporate industry. The only thing that they have to learn how to place it nicely in an organization and understand the pain points so that this energy of taking the challenges back to their managers come in a very positive manner instead of in a negative manner. So those backbenchers who are able to channelize this energy well and use this particular positivity of challenging bad things about organization or challenging wrong things about a project in a nicer manner, they actually perform very well, right? And while coming to the front benchers, everybody knows these guys are the sincere ones, but they do have a fear of losing something, right? Because they have been performing well. They did not understand that, and they did not want to accept that they can fail. So, but coming into the industry, what they experience is failing and failures are also a part and parcel of the whole project, right? Or a part, so or part of life. So those people who understand it well, they channelize their energy and become a little bit more bold, so that they can challenge things and come out of that yes sir behavior. They perform well. So that is the reason I don't say that it is a front bencher or back bencher. When they come into the industry, they have to channelize their positiveness and start learning things which they don't have. For example, for front benchers, I say they need to probably bring up more boldness, and the back benchers have to channelize their energy. That is what my take on the front benchers and back benchers.
Atul, I would really like to appreciate you. Only experience can speak like this way. Really, a very good thing and like a very good manner you have explained this thing. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm really,
Thank you.
I
Thanks,
agree.
Sujata.
totally
I
agree with you,
Absolutely.
Atul.
Yes, bilkul. So actually, see,
Absolutely.
this is the different perspective. If we talk about the backbenchers, and if we are looking them in such a way that they need, like they are so bold and they are capable in doing the things by their own. So this is a different perspective. Like the same way, this is for the front bencher. This is a different perspective that they need some guidance again and again. So like Atul said, they like fear with something, like they can lose something. So these are different perspective. Actually there are no backbenches and no front benches. So very well said by you, Atul.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the
Great. So
second
Thank you.
question, so on the
last,
first question, I just want to quickly say that for new project and teams, if the teams are existing and we get new project, I would recommend to keep the team dynamics same as much as possible, like as you can do, so that because the collaboration is really required, within the team, that trust already has been made, those values are already there. So I would never suggest to dismantle the team. Yes, if there is a need of a particular kind of technology or anything, so you can add people, but I would always recommend. So I really like Spotify as well, wherein we talk about squads and tribe, where we just bring on the project but never change the team dynamics. We can add one or two, but that's my suggestion. if there is an existing team and we will get new projects. Yeah, and with the keeping in mind the time, you can connect on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, feel free to connect over LinkedIn. And I would just like to add a little point to what Deepa mentioned. When we are forming a new team based on the new project, I will see it from that what business needs from this project. Because finally, customer and business is going to, if they are using the project and they are finding it successful, then only the kind of, team is seen as a successful team. So keep that in the center, and basis that make a choice that if this project calls for a innovation and disruption, and you can only bring it by disrupting the team, then only disrupt it. But don't fear to disrupt it. When you are disrupting, then keep that in mind. The Amazon principle, which I really love, is that STL, what they call is STL, is single threaded leader. So leader shall be then focused only and only on that project, rather than in a way that we have experienced in Agile, where leaders, Scrum Master, they are usually sharing the capacity across. So in the case of innovation project, if you are bringing a disruption, bring a STL. In case it's a kind of efficiency and optimization project, keep leverage the team dynamics which are already successful, and don't disrupt the team. So that would be my take on it. And with this, we have covered all the questions. Yeah.
I would like to quickly add and give that analogy, right? While you're picking up an Indian cricket team for the Australian wickets, or you're picking up an Indian cricket team for the Indian wickets, you have a core team and you've got a flexi team. The people who are required to be in Australian pitches, right? If they're sitting on bench here in India, they should not feel bad about it, right? Because the requirement and the business needs, as Shalu said, determines what exactly changes that needs to be required in the project, right? And everybody understands that, right? But then there is, we call it in the industries a core flexi model, where we have some core team which is required, and there are teams which is changing depending on the needs of the requirement, right? For example, analogy on a cricket ground, you see different conditions and environments, whether it's an Australian wicket, whether it's a pacey wicket, or it's a spin wicket. So you got to choose your players accordingly. Similarly, you do that in your agile teams as well, depending on the business needs. Yeah.
Great. Thanks a lot, Deepa, Atul, Sujata, for bringing such a diverse experience for our audience today. And with this, I would like to give it back to Shreya and Priyank if he is joining the session today. I know that it has been full weekend for ANI in having this community practice of sharing such a practical, experienced knowledge with everyone. So kudos for that, ANI and Priyank and Shreya and Prakash, the way you have managed it. Thank you. And with this, over to you.
Thank you so much, Shalu. And thank you to all the amazing panelists for sharing such wide experience and information. Thank you so much. We look forward to such more sessions by Gurugram chapter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Happy weekend,
Bye.
everyone.
Happy weekend.
Thank you. Thank you.